listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, and on the IPBN Radio Network. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And you can always check us out on our website at xzoneradio.com. My guest this hour is Jose-Escamilla. He is a producer, director. He's been editing film and video for over 20 years. This guy, let's just cut through the chase. I've had the pleasure of knowing Jose for nearly 25 years. Way back when he first came on the show, we talked about the Roswell-rods. And when I heard about them, it was okay. But then he sent me a video. Remember videotapes instead of the CDs way back when? When I saw this footage, it was jaw-dropping. Here were these rods that were undeniably intelligent, undeniably living, but they're moving so fast you just can't see them, except with Jose and his abilities with video cameras, was able to capture them and present to the world the Roswell-rods. How fast are they, you ask me? Well, Jose sent me a segment that had a tank in it. And the Roswell rod, if my memory serves me correct here, Jose, was faster than the artillery coming out of the tank. Jose, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. I was just telling our audience about the Roswell-Rod clip that you sent me with the tank, and
Yeah, that footage was really special because the tank fired off 8 rounds, and the shell casings are still in the air, and a rod passes right by through the scene, following the shells that were fired. And here the casings are still up in the air. So it was a pretty awesome clip. It was taken at Sundsvall, Sweden.
And then there was also another clip of a cave, and you had all of these rods flying around, and that was an eye-opening case enough.
It was, and I visited that cave. It was called Cave of the Swallows, and it's a unique artifact. It's like it's a pit, a cave in, and you can fit the Empire State Building in it.
Wow.
That's how deep it is. And you have swallows that emerge, that come out every morning. And here we had these millions of swallows coming out in vortex, and these rods flying right through them, not being affected or caught by these swallows. And when the base jumpers were jumping, we got some real clear, dynamic footage of them, and that footage has become really well known throughout the world.
And, you've also come up with some amazing UFO footage. You've been out there for all these years.
Yeah,
and
I've been filming UFOs since 1994.
And you're one of the hardest people out there working to try and get this evidence out there. And Jose, I know how hard you work, and you've had some of your ideas stolen by the most popular names in Hollywood.
I know.
It's just amazing what you've gone through, my friend. But listen, Jose, we've got to take a commercial break right now.
Okay.
But when we come back, I know that there's a very special tribute that you would like to make, and we're going to do that as soon as we come back.
Okay.
Exonation, my friend Jose-Escamilla is our guest this hour. If you've ever heard of the Roswell-Rods, well, this is the gentleman who brought it to the public attention. Lunar conspiracies, this is the guy to go see. UFO footage, this is the guy to go see. Visit his website at www.tblnfilm.com. That's www.tblnfilm.com. Jose-Escamilla is my guest, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 25 years in the making, and here we are, still on the air. Many have come, many have gone, but because of you, the X-Zone Nation, we are getting stronger each and every day. More listeners, more stations, more affiliates, more networks, more of the truth getting out to each and every one of you. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wiecka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wiecka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Linnea Starr began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Starr does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information, and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Starr does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Starr or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. Jose-escamilla is my special guest on the website is www.tblnfilms.com. That's www.tblnfilms.com. Now, Jose, you would like to do a special tribute this segment.
Yeah, Rob. Two of my very special friends passed away this year. Trevor James Constable, who is a pioneer in the infrared photography of UFOs and rods. Mm-hmm. He was filming incredible living entities back in 1950s using infrared film in a camera and an 8mm film camera.
Right.
And he passed away March 31st of this year, sad to say. And also another gentleman dealing with infrared, Ed Grinsley. He's another special friend of mine. He appeared in a few of my films. He passed away this February 26th. And I just wanted to wish their families, deepest condolences, and just celebrate their efforts and their pioneering work in the UFO community. And just want to wish their souls rest. God bless them.
And our condolences go out to their friends and family as well, Jose. We were talking about rods when we first started, but what I forgot to talk to our Exo Nation about is the rods have been seen underwater, they have seen in outer space, and they've even been seen on Mars.
Yeah. My newest film right now, Rob, funny that you would ask, is the Ultimate Rods film. This is going to put the lid on the mystery. We finally have footage of a rod filmed at the highest resolution, 4K resolution, which is IMAX,
right,
resolution, at 200 frames per second, which is slow motion. and at 24p, that's 24 frames progressive, which is non-interlaced video. A lot of the debunkers and the skeptics have claimed that rods are nothing more than insects being misfilmed using a low shutter setting and all that crap, and saying that the effect of the rod image is caused by interlacing of video. Well, this footage that we finally have proves them wrong, and there's no way they can deny it. It's 24 frames per second at 200 frames high speed. And when you see this rod, Rob, oh man, it is immense. It is awesome. It looks the way all the rods that I've presented over the years appear. It looks just like what I've been showing people, except this was shot with a true camera, man. The kind of technology that I've waited for in filming these things. And I also have Wilbur Allen's footage. He's been filming rods at night over Washington, D.C. in the no-fly zone. These rods have been flying over the White House. And he's been using the same cameras that NASA uses on the International Space Station, high resolution, super high speed, and you can see the rods. He has been capturing rods in groups, in squadrons, and you can see them clear as bell, man. And that's also going to be featured in the film. And also a guy named Sean Goutreau out of New Orleans, Louisiana, who has been filming rods using infrared film and high-speed video. So we finally have the ultimate footage. And then we have the underwater footage, which is totally, it's like the icing on the cake.
Wow. Listen, Jose, is there any connection between the rods and crop circles?
You know, I do have a crop circle, and I don't know if it was faked or what, but it's a rod. And I received this about 5 years ago. I don't know. I don't know if they're causing them. I don't think so, but you never know. We don't have evidence. You know?
Is there any connection between the rods and UFO sightings?
That for sure is a true thing. I have footage of rods interacting with UFOs since 1994. And they've been interacting with UFOs and the space shuttle, as you mentioned earlier. But we have some incredible footage of them coming out of the Earth and going into deep space and then flying into the Earth. And there's multitudes of them that zoom into the Earth past the cameras. And this is all shuttle footage. And then we have footage of them on Mars.
I know
and these rods on Mars are huge.
Now that blew me away when you told us about this last year.
Yeah,
it blew me away because all right, we're dealing with rods here on Earth. You know, okay. I saw the film. I know that you're not pulling a hoax. I know what you're saying is true.
Yeah,
but
you know this was shot by NASA.
Yeah, but on Mars, like, how did they get there? Do they use a propulsion system that we need to find out more about the rods because they've been interacting with us. They are fast. They are intelligent. You know, I'm just wondering if there's a connection in biblical times that, you know, Moses always had a rod or a staff. Is there a connection? Who knows?
You know, we've investigated that and looked for any kind of descriptions, you know, in the Bible about things such as rods. And there are a couple of verses that we're looking at, but it doesn't exactly say it's a rod, but it says it was like a flying scroll.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a matter of interpretation, you know?
You're a very busy guy, and I also understand that you have some new exciting moon discoveries to talk about.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I have the complete Clementine moon photography of the front and the far side of the moon. And I downloaded 850 full-color, high-resolution photographs. And in these photos, I have found some incredible and I'm talking stunning and astonishing buildings. There are huge buildings up there, Rob, and cities. There are cities there. And I just made these discoveries the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
And so I'm fixing to put together a new film about the moon. But also, what I've been doing is wanting to make virtual reality experiences. Now, you know, Facebook and Google and YouTube and a lot of different studios and companies, including Disney, Sony, you know, other typical major studios. Virtual reality is the next big thing. Facebook purchased the rights to the Oculi eyeglasses that allow people to see scenes in 360 views. I mean, surround themselves
Right.
from scenes. Well, what I'm doing, I've had 38 UFO broad daylight sightings over at Midway in Roswell, New Mexico. And the unique thing about that is that I filmed them all, too. I not only witnessed them, but I filmed them. So what I'm putting together are virtual reality films of my sightings as they were witnessed by me and my family and filmed. And all 38, it's going to be called The Real UFO Experience. So people that put on their virtual reality glasses are going to be there at Midway, New Mexico with me and my family as, for an example, the Memorial Day sighting. It was a UFO that came from Carlsbad, New Mexico area and flew right over our house, our farm there at Midway, and it stopped right above, and my brother's filming it, and then it starts going away and goes towards Roswell, and, this sighting lasted 8.5 minutes at 7:30 in the morning on Memorial Day, and I'm going to redo that whole experience so people are going to see what it was like being there. And I'm going to produce not only the 38 UFO experiences, but the Battle of Los Angeles. I'm going to make some virtual reality scenes from different versions of what people saw. So they're going to be able to witness the Battle of Los Angeles, finally the way it went down. I'm also going to do the Betty and Barney Hill abduction.
Wow, that's going back to 1967.
Awesome,
yeah.
because people are going to be driving down the highway, and they're going to see the UFO. They're going to see lights and cloudy lights, and they'll see this humanoids approaching them, and then everything goes to black. And then I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoil what happens. But I'm going to do the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. And you know what? A lot of people that I've told what happens next, they've said, I've been abducted. That's exactly what happens. This comes about. And it's hard to explain it. It can only be presented visually. So this is going to be an incredible series. I'm excited about that.
So when do you expect that'll hit the public?
Probably by this Christmas.
Really, eh? Just in time for Christmas.
Right now, every day.
Speaking about new movies that are coming out, June 24th, in the resurgence of Independence Day is coming. How do you think that's going to affect the UFO community?
Oh, man, I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be, it's going to be a sci-fi fantasy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly, I guess, it shows how the military has been using their UFO technology. They back engineered the technology.
Right.
And now these ships are coming in and they're having a battle in space. And they're kind of pushing towards the Star Wars thing, the weaponizing of space.
Let's talk more about this on the other side of the news, my good friend. Exonation Jose-Escamilla is our special guest. His website is www.tblnfilms.com. That's www.tblnfilms.com. And Jose and I will be back on the other side of the news as we continue talking about the moon. Roswell, New Mexico. UFOs, Independence Day, Betty and Barney Hill, and much more. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on the Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, and the IPBN Radio Network.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerreonian intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Annie Callahan, dedicated to negotiating a position for Earth within the Daguerreonian Coalition, had trained for 3 years to become an Earth ambassador. Yet, the very eve of her arrival at the capital ruling planet, she is claimed as destined mate to an oversized, mating-maddened vamp who swears he will never release her. Lord Aztaran, king of the Macian sector, has waited over 900 years for his destined mate. Having found her as an alpha vamp, he is unable to relinquish Annie, virtually holding her hostage until he can claim her. Yet Macians cannot survive without their mate's love. How could he strip her of her citizenship, her ambassadorship, and her freedom and expect to win her heart? With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is the latest book in this exciting series, The Daguerreonian Chronicles, guaranteed to keep readers coming back for more. With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is available on Amazon.com and KahiraO'Donnell.com.
Jose-escamilla is my special guest this hour, Exo Nation. www.tblnfilms.com. I'd like to go back to the buildings and the cities on the moon, Jose.
Yes.
Why hasn't this been splashed over every newspaper front page? And who built these buildings?
You know, I don't know why the media hasn't picked up on the films that I've done, and other people have made the same kind of discoveries, over the years. It's just not something that the media covers, and definitely NASA's not going to say a thing about it. So it takes guys like me and other people that are out there making these discoveries to put together films and video clips and things and put them on YouTube and just show what's there.
Based on your experience as not only a filmmaker but as a UFO researcher and researcher of lunar anomalies, what can you tell us about these cities, their size, how tall are the buildings? What are we looking at? A city like New York?
Recently, I had this one building that must be 4 miles high.
Whoa. 4 miles high?
Yeah, and this is just one building, Rob. I mean, it's a building that's just there at the side of the crater, and it must be at least 4 miles high and about 3 miles wide and about 5 miles long. It's like a gigantic hangar there. But it's a building. It has stairways. It has doors. It has small doors. One of the doors must be about 20 feet, 30 feet high maybe. But it's an amazing find. And I'm going to release that on YouTube pretty soon. I'm going to release it for free. I'm not going to charge for it. People have to see the stuff that's up there,
Why do you think the different countries who have sent spacecraft to land on the moon as well as survey the moon have not come up with this, have not released it? What are they hiding?
Well, they're all part of the Department of Defense and NASA. These space agencies from all over the world are using the same identical web logo, the vector symbol, that NASA has, on their main logo.
Right.
And they're all part of the conspiracy. They're all part of the covering up. I mean, China, when they sent their probe up there, their first imagery was the full layout of the moon, full flat map of the moon, which was like 7 football fields long. Okay.
Right.
And they had it at the press conference. They unveiled this huge tapestry of the moon, and they had the north and south poles of the moon, and it was full color. Okay. It was a full color photo of the moon and the north and south poles. But when they released it to the public, it was in black and white. They have never released the same thing they showed at that press conference in color. They have never released it in full color to the public. They've always released it in black and white, which is continuing to perpetuate the myth that the moon is black and white.
Well, when you look at the moon from Earth, it kind of looks just black and white.
Yeah, well, that's because of the atmosphere and, cosmic rays and stuff that happen to cause us not to be able to perceive
but even
the moon's full color spectrum. But as soon as you leave the Earth's atmosphere, you're in space, you can see the moon in its full natural color.
But even the photographs that NASA released after the lunar landing, they were in full color, and once again, the moon looked kind of black and white.
Yeah, but they did some photoshopping basically, because what they did is they made the moon gray, black and white, and they left everything else in color. I mean, that's easy to do, So I have the same photographs of the astronauts and everything else taken by Apollo 11 astronauts by a different camera, a Kodachrome camera that was taken to the moon, and it's in full color. Everything's full color in these shots. So NASA can't BS us anymore. I'm making these films that show and they prove the moon is a full color celestial body.
Let me ask you, is there a lunar conspiracy? Did America actually go to the moon?
At first I kept thinking that we did go.
Yeah.
But over the years, man, I've become more involved in certain aspects and things. I found out that the complete NASA journal of photography that's up there has been tampered with so much. I mean, they've confused Apollo 17 images of a crater called Lobachevsky, and they are identical to what it looks like in 1994. So how could that be? how could that same crater look identical to what it looks like in 1994 when it was supposedly filmed in 1972? So, they've made some mistakes like that. They've also misidentified certain craters and things, and I just don't believe anything that they have up there. We don't have a clue what's going on in the moon. However, I remember a few years back, it was a joke, that you could buy property on the moon, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, did you ever buy any?
Of course not.
I didn't either. I mean, I said, it's a bunch of BS. I would love to purchase an area on the front side of the moon where there are gold mountains made of solid gold. And there's one area where there's a golden arc
Mm-hmm.
right there. You can't miss it, man. I want to purchase that piece of property there.
Well, actually, the name of the gentleman who runs the Lunar Embassy, we've had him on the show. His name is Dennis Lawrence, and he's the guy who sells the property on the moon.
Okay, well, I want to speak with him because if there's any way that a purchase of property could really occur and it would become legal, man, I would be a multi-billionaire.
Well, you see, that's where the problem lies, the legality.
Yeah.
It's just like the guy he thinks it's real. However, the lawyers that we spoke to, as well as members of the United Nations, say, he can't do that. It's just like the guy who sells alien abduction insurance,
Oh, yeah. That's the craziness surrounding all of the stuff that we endure,
Right.
But we just got to deal with it, But hell, man, if there's a way to buy property on the moon, I know what property to buy, man.
Listen, do you remember the film Capricorn 1?
Absolutely.
Do you think that was to show the Americas and the worldwide audience that not everything you see is real, that there's a lot of magic of Hollywood into the day-by-day events that happen?
I love that movie because it did portray what could be done, And I look at that as fact after fiction, I mean, they portrayed themselves as, the Capricorn astronauts in that movie, Capricorn 1, and how they were all of them were killed for trying to explain what was going on. And that's the kind of stuff that happens, man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
The question is, why, if there is such a great wealth of minerals on the moon, as well as other properties that would be very beneficial to the United States and other countries to explore and to set up a colony on the moon, to manufacture these products, why haven't we gone back to the moon yet?
Because we never went there in the first place.
That's a logical explanation, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to go to the moon again, then let's just revamp the Apollo 11 capsule and shoot these boys back up there. I mean, that one made it.
That's right. That's right. And a number of the astronauts lunar astronauts were featured in a film that was done by Bart Sibrel, entitled what was it called again?
It's called A Funny Thing Happened to
Me. Right. And in that film, you've got Edgar Mitchell taking a punch at Bart. That's right, the sun threatening Bart. Bart left a microphone by mistake in Edgar Mitchell's house, and you hear the son asking Edgar Mitchell if the son should call the CIA and have Bart Sibrel whacked. And you've got to wonder, why would these guys partake in such a fraud?
Well, first of all, they have their lives at stake.
Mm-hmm.
They sign a doggone non-disclosure type of document that not only tells them, look, you will go to prison, you will go to jail, you will die in prison. You will not have any pension. You won't have any benefits. Your family will be out in the streets. I mean, you know, they make sure that the astronauts that were involved with this were going to keep their mouths shut. I mean, you know, you have, gosh, what's that astronaut, man? It was Neil Armstrong.
Collins and
anyway, he's been an alcoholic, man. Aldrin, Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he became an alcoholic right after the missions, man. He was drinking a lot, and you know, you just have to wonder what caused him to be so heavily sedated afterwards, you know? So, you know, I feel for these guys, man.
You know, I know that the Russians had landed a robotic craft on the moon before the Americans got there, or before they claimed they got there. And if they, you know, like, why didn't the Americans do the same thing? Was it all part of a big campaign to try and outdo what the Russians were doing?
That's exactly true. What happened was America was beat at landing an object on the moon and photographing the moon, you know, the Zonda missions by the Russians. So we had to best them. We had to better our situation. So this is why they created the Apollo missions, you know, to show them that we are on top of it, you know. And, you know, there's a curious video on the internet. Gosh, it's the Orion. The Orion capsule, I believe. And the astronaut that's talking about the Orion ship is going to be used to go take people to the moon and Mars and all that. He's talking about we're finally being able to pass the Van Allen.
That's right.
Where humans and the equipment won't get burned up. So he's saying we're finally doing that now. So how did we do that in 1966, 1968? You know?
This was one of the questions that Bart brought up in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, was the fact of the Van Allen belts that circle the Earth, and that the amount of radiation that they emanate, it would be impossible for the astronauts to actually surpass those belts in the capsules of those days. In fact, the space shuttle can only go so high without being affected by the Van Allen belts.
Yeah, they could only go like 300 miles above the Earth.
You know, and he brought up a lot of good points, and I understand that he has suffered because of that film, that documentary, financially.
Yeah, he's been hounded too.
Yeah,
you know, he's been definitely scattered about, man.
You know, the truth is out there, but nobody wants to listen to it.
Yeah, I'm finding that true. I mean, here I'm presenting the full color photography of the moon for the first time in the history of the moon.
Right.
And people just don't even give a crap, man. They don't care.
Well, listen, Jose, you know, people still think that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and we know he didn't. You know, it's like people sometimes want to be dumbed down. That whether it's the media, whether it's religion, whether it's society, we have been dumbed down.
Yeah,
the things that should raise our eyebrows and say, you've got to be kidding, well, let's do something about this.
Well, you know, I hate to bring up another controversy, but, you know, the performer Prince.
Yes.
He was on television talking on these talk shows about the Illuminati, chemtrails, you know, and also about George Washington. He says, you know, people don't realize that we've been lied to. George Washington was not our first president. He was our 8th president. He says, so how come they don't tell people about the 7 presidents before him? And, you know, I didn't even know that there were 8 presidents, you know, 7 presidents before George Washington. And here Prince was coming out with this. And there is now, I've read in the tabloids, that they're considering that he was murdered.
Well, so, yeah.
You know, and most of the rap artists that have died and that have been persecuted, I mean, they've been talking about the Illuminati. and New World Order and all that craps, and I mean, Tupac Shakur was murdered because he was coming out with that. Cat Williams, a comedian, he's been going through hell because he's been talking about the New World Order and the Illuminati and all sorts of crap. And so there's a reason a lot of these people are afraid to even talk about it nowadays,
So when we look back at the space race, we're looking at a propaganda campaign that was launched by the United States to surpass what Russia had really accomplished. And now we're seeing a conspiracy of sorts that is being waged against people like Prince in an effort for the suppression of the information that Prince and others, were getting out to the public.
Yeah, I've been hurt financially.
All right, let's talk about that when we come back from this break, my friend. Exonation, my guest this hour is a good friend of mine. His name is Jose-Escamilla. I've known Jose nearly 25 years now. If you'd like to visit his website, it's tblnfilms.com. That's www.tblnfilms.com. And Jose and I will be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And Jose's got a number of films available on YouTube. And if you go to www.xzonetv.com, last year for the first season of the X Zone TV show, I did an interview with Jose. It is online. It is free at www.xzonetv.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Jose-Escamilla is my guest. www.tblnfilms.com. Don't go away now.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston.
From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. Exonation, my guest this hour, the one and only Jose-Escamilla. Like I said, I've known Jose and had him on the show over the past 25 years of doing the Exxon a number of times. I've seen the footage that he has taken firsthand, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing him here on the Exxon show as well as on the Exxon TV show. He is an expert when it comes to films. He's worked with Ruth Buzzy, Richard Mole, let me see, Kathy Ireland, Ed Begley Jr., Dr. Joyce Brothers, Tom Bosley, Nell Carter, just to name a few. He's a recognized and professional musician, and he is one of the hardest working people I know in the industry, and yet he has been ripped off royally by some of the best known people in the industry, including Steven Spielberg.
Yes, sir.
Man, what a rip-off artist.
I'll tell you what happened. I wrote a movie called Deinonychus, the Ultimate Dinosaur Movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1988, I had approached Warner Brothers for a film deal. And they said, well, if you can get John Dykstra to do your Go Motion Dinosaurs, we might be interested in releasing your film. So I approached John Dykstra, and they said, yeah, we'll do your Go Motion Dinosaurs. Phil Tippett was going to be doing the Go Motion Dinosaurs. And they said, it'll cost you $2.8 million. They broke down the script, so that was part of my budget. And then they said, and we're going to have, next door was Stan Winston. Okay, they said, we're going to get a copy of the script to him. He's going to do the skins for the dinosaurs to give them a realistic skin look. So Stan Winston had my dinosaur movie,
mm-hmm.
and in 1989, I had $12 million committed to make my movie Deinonychus, the Ultimate Dinosaur Movie. I had Bolo Ewing, who was the Chinese guy from Enter the Dragon, the big muscle-bound guy.
Right.
He was the star of the show. I had Carlos Palomino acting in it, who's a good friend of mine, the former welterweight champion. I had, I had Billy Greenbush.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I had all these people in the movie ready to film, and then Spielberg announces Jurassic Park.
Huh.
So, needless to say, my investors did not want to compete with Steven Spielberg's dinosaur film. They said, we're just going to have to beg off. So I lost my financing, and I was unable to make my movie. So Jurassic Park came out. It was great, man. They made the dinosaurs come to life. And then suddenly we now have software where we can make the dinosaurs for our own movie.
Right.
Realistic as they can be. And thanks to Spielberg and Lucas, because they developed the software.
Sure.
But this last movie that they did, Jurassic World,
mm-hmm.
which is the fourth installment of the Jurassic Park series, they used, from my screenplay, they used 5 sections. They used a scene where the guy is reaching towards the dinosaur, and the raptor rips into his arm and then tears him up. That was a scene right from my movie.
Wow.
Of a biker that's smoking a joint, and he's so stoned, this Deinonychus is in front of him, and he offers it a joint, and it takes his hand. That's not a coincidence.
No, it's not. Hey, Jose, I'd love to continue this chat, but I've got to say so long for now, my good friend.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being there. Thank you for coming on the show tonight, and keep the great work up, my friend. You're a good friend and a good brother.
Thank you so much, guys.
Take care, buddy. Exxon Nation, for more information on Jose-Escamilla, visit his website, www.tblnfilms.com. I'll be back on the other side of the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the Exxon from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I am Rob McConnell. Don't go away.